Hi, everybody. This is Greg with Nanobot Rock. Thanks for tuning in and listening. Clay and I will be discussing local and independent music from around the world. This is Nanobot Rock Mixtape.
How are things going there?
We don't have Treefort Music Festival. And
Yeah.
it's put a major crimp in the beginning of the year, but the decision was made for all the right reasons.
No, I agree. I was really looking forward to coming out there. I've been doing this. This would have been year 7 of me going up there.
Yep, 7 for you, 8 for me. Selfishly disappointed, but I think in the light of the current situation we're in, I think it's the right thing to do. And it had to be hard for the everybody, the artists, the promoters, the vendors, everybody involved. We were only 2.5 weeks off when they made that announcement.
Yeah, I'm curious what some of those bands are going to be doing from here on out. Are they just going back to life as normal as it is? And yeah, it's got to be tough with the fact that you were expecting the income from all of these tours. I mean, I know that this wasn't the only stop for a lot of these bands, and they get things like record sales out of all of these tours and t-shirt sales that they're just not going to get now.
Well, you've got that, but you also have to consider, from a lot of the posts that I've seen on social media and things like that, people are really angry at them. But you consider a band that, let's say, comes from Denver and they're going to end up in Seattle with a stop in Treefort on the way. They're going to do Denver, Salt Lake, Boise, probably Portland and Seattle on the way, or Spokane, then Seattle on the way up. And if Seattle, because Washington was hit so hard, cancels all of their shows and mass gatherings first, then that gives them no end to their tour. They can't get their end date. Then Salt Lake cancels theirs. It would be as if they're just jumping from Denver to Boise, and then that creates a whole other problem. So, it only made sense, but I think a lot of them were already starting to hurt. And when you consider especially independent and local musicians, they need that night after night touring. They need those shows every single night, because a big portion of what they make on those tours are the people that are purchasing the shirts and the records and things like that at the shows as well. The overhead from the door helps gas money and food money, but it's really the people that support them at the live shows. And if you don't have that, or if it's being clipped up and it's going to be really sparse, it's going to hurt, man. It's going to be really hard, and it's going to be difficult for them just to keep enough gas in the tank or money to keep going. So it's hard to get to Boise, some place like that, if you're depending on the income from each individual stop.
Yeah, and just a quick background for anybody who doesn't know, Treefort Music Fest is an annual music festival that's held in Boise, Idaho. It's usually the last weekend in March every year. This is year 9.
Year 9 of Treefort, yep.
Year 9 of Treefort. So 9 straight years of it being the last week of March. A lot of the businesses in Boise count on this, and a lot of the bands from the Pacific Northwest count on this festival as well. And now this music festival, because of everything that's going on, is being pushed out to September of this year, and we'll see. I know the lineup will be coming out at some point, but it'll be interesting to see who makes it this time versus who was supposed to be in March.
Yeah, the lineup is definitely anticipated to shift a little bit, if not largely. You look at Treefort, I guess fundamentally or logistically, it's very similar to what South by Southwest is, in that local bars and venues turn into these individual venues each night for different bands to play. And as you said, the venues are going to get hit by this as well, because they anticipate larger than normal crowds coming through, I would say. But then you have bands like Group Love was going to come to Treefort, and they were going to play at the Knitting Factory. Well, now that's going to mess with their tour, because they're on a much larger tour than we would get from that Denver, Salt Lake, Boise analogy that I was just using. You get Group Love, and the likelihood of them returning is kind of up in the air. Peter Bjorn and John, similar situation. So you get these national or international traveling acts that are going to come to a festival, and it puts it up in the air to see if they're going to come back in September. And it is September 23rd through 27th, 2020. It'll be back in downtown Boise. And selfishly, again, I started thinking about this, and we have now Treefort at the end of September, and then Treefort pretty much guaranteed at the end of March from what we've gathered just by trend, because this is the anomaly, which basically puts 2 Treeforts in 6 months. So let that sink in for a little bit.
Yeah, you've got a nice winter bookended by 2 amazing festivals. But also, I know we've talked about Treefort selfishly on a lot of this, but there's a lot of other music festivals that have been impacted as well. I mean, you brought up South by Southwest earlier. We're seeing how this will impact things like Coachella and Bonnaroo and all these other festivals that may end up getting canceled as well. This is a ton of exposure for a lot of bands that don't get to share their music with people and, like you said, sell some t-shirts, sell some albums, make some new fans across the globe. It's tough for a lot of them out there. So we had started this podcast 6 years ago with the intention of sharing music with people, and then it kind of fizzled out. But we're looking to resurrect this a little bit to help get some signal boost out to bands that would like to share their music and, just help spread the love a little bit.
Yeah, and Coachella, it actually did get postponed October 9th, 10th, and 11th, and October 16th, 17th, and 18th is when Coachella is set to take place now. Stagecoach will take place October 23rd, 24th, and 25th of 2020. So it isn't just locally. I mean, they're not just the smaller ones. As you know, as far as I know, South by Southwest is the only one that's actually announced it being canceled fully. There are some other festivals that are going to be coming up here in the following months, especially during the summer, things like that. I haven't heard anything about Big Sky Music Festival. I don't know what's going on with that, but there are some even smaller festivals that are happening. There's some that I know we have them here in Idaho. They are up in Montana as well. You can go out and just get a tent, get a spot, and experience like a 3-day music festival of all different types, and it's worth it. It's a lot of fun. But back to Treefort Music Fest as well and the impact that it's having on the musicians. Treefort Music Fest has created what they refer to as a fan fund, and anybody who's interested or who was going to come and see Treefort, I would encourage you to go to treefortmusicfest.com and take a look at the website. You can read up on the description for that. You can look through and you can really get all the up-to-date news on COVID-19, as well as what you can do to help these artists that have been missing out on that. I know that there were some Washington festivals that are up in the air, and a lot of those tours have been canceled. They've been postponed. So just go to the website and take a look at it. Most of the websites and most of the festivals have information on how you can contribute to them, or you can get directly in touch with the artists. And Treefort has, from what we've seen, what I like to refer to as the small print artists. They've got a lot of those, the little print ones. They're not the Kings of Leon or the the bigger names that we see at the other festivals, Radiohead and whoever wants to come back and have a reunion type show. The little print guys are the ones that are really getting hit hard from this as well, because like I said, they rely a lot on the income they're getting from all this, and it's a great way for people to get exposed to new music as well. I mean, you and I don't even know it, but it's pretty much guaranteed every single year we're going to just stumble into a venue and find a band that all of a sudden we become huge fans of, and we try and tell everybody we know about them.
Yeah, that's my favorite part of the whole thing. I feel like you really hit it with the small print thing. Like, I think of, we talk about Group Love at the beginning, or Peter, Bjorn, and John, but, the real fun has always been trying to find that one band who has 1,500 likes on Facebook, and you just walk into the venue and you're just like, oh my god, these guys are so incredible, and just put on a good show, and then you end up following them around the rest of the festival, like you're a mini little dead crew. I mean, I'm not trying to sell tuna fish sandwiches outside of their concert to try and make some money, but it's fun to follow them around and see what their different shows are like.
Case in point, Run on Sentence, New Madrid. I don't even know how many other bands we could start listing that we just stumbled into. The Hoot Hoots, yes. Speaking of Washington artists who are probably not getting the opportunity to play right now, the Hoot Hoots, but you stumble into these venues, you take a chance on it, and all of a sudden you're finding bands that you really connect with, that really strike a chord with you, and you end up following them and supporting them, and then they release albums, and it's an amazing discovery just to see music festivals live, but the experiences that you gain just on random chance ends up being exponentially greater, and it's such an awesome opportunity. And that's really why we're doing this again, is we're trying to kick it off, because we're trying to get those artists who are affected by this the opportunity to get their name out there and get their music out there, and we want our listeners to be able to discover something new as well. And it might not strike a chord with everybody, but if we could get a few that find something that they like, and that's why we mix up what we're playing and what we're talking about, I think we'll find something. I think people will connect.
I agree. And not only that, but, we're trying to also give people the opportunity to have a playlist to listen to while you're maybe spending a little more extra time indoors trying to think of things to do. And, there are only so many cat videos to go around, and funny gifs of, people falling down.
Although those never get old.
They don't.
They humor me to no end. But what doesn't humor me to no end, so that's all right. I'm easily amused, right?
Yeah, well, we got to keep your sense of humor going, that's for sure.
Especially while we're indoors, and that's why what we're going to talk about here is a small snippet of the overall, what we wish we could convey to everybody today. But on the various locations that we'll have this, we'll have a Spotify playlist with even more artists, and see if we can get some more information out there and some new sounds and help people discover new music. That's what we've been doing for over 9 years now, is trying to hopefully help people discover music and find artists that they fall in love with, and to stretch the boundaries of the experience.
Yeah, that's always been kind of our mission statement as we've gone through this. Is it's not necessarily about reviewing music and being critics of music, and more about, hey, there's this really cool band that I just discovered, and they've got this really, really cool song that I want to share with you. And that's kind of been the impetus of what we've been trying to do all along. So with that, I think we'll kind of kick it off and talk about their first track on our mixtape. So the philosophy behind our mixtape is that we're just going to kind of share some of this stuff and talk about the music that we really like, and then we'll put a link in show notes to where you can go get this playlist on Spotify, and you can listen to the tracks yourself and actually listen to them in that true mixtape format, so that you can enjoy it without all of our yammering on.
And we will also link to the record labels best we can, because a lot of times with the independent and local musicians, there are independent and local record labels or producers that are backing them as well. So we're trying to share the love and click through to them as well. You might find something else that you like. Just keep digging. It's an endless wormhole of possibilities that you can dive into. Rabbit hole.
Yep. Either one. If you want to go across space and time while you're listening to all of this, you are more than welcome to. The other piece is that any of these tracks that you do like, it's great if you want to go, give them some clicks on Spotify, but I know, the musicians don't get a ton of cash that way. So if there's something that you really love, please go to their Bandcamp, buy their album there, go buy a shirt, go buy, a beer cup if they have those. Wow, beer cup, beer mug, beer glass, beer stein. I would love it if some of these bands had beer steins. I would buy those. I would have a whole set across the wall right here. You can't see where I'm pointing, but I'm pointing to a wall that could have a shelf full of beer steins.
Or beer cups, you never know.
Yeah, beer cups.
It's that concept of back in the day when, and I know this is going to confuse a lot of the younger people that are maybe listening to this, but back in the day we used to have to go to record stores. And at record stores, if you heard something...
You had to go to record stores to buy your beer cups.
Yes, beer cups at the record store. I went to different record stores then, or maybe I was too young. But back in the day, you had to go to record stores to get the album or to get the music that you wanted. We didn't have iTunes, and I know, okay, boomer, whatever you want to say to me. But what...
You are not a boomer. 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 You
I know,
are.
but
You
might
are
as well
at
be talking
best.
about rotary phones here. It's going to confuse people.
Yeah. You are.
But
You are Gen. You are Gen X cusp. That is. That is. Yeah.
I'm a cusp. I'll take it. But you'd hear something on the radio.
Okay, cusper.
You'd like it. Rascal. Like the scooter? No, okay. I digress. You'd hear something on the radio, you want to get more of that. You'd go out, and a lot of times, all my friends, myself included, you'd hear that one song, you'd go buy the whole album. So we'd go out, we'd buy the whole album, and chances are you'd find that, that Aerosmith album in the 90s just wasn't what you thought it was going to be. Or maybe it was. Maybe you found an album and then all of a sudden your favorite song wasn't even on the radio and you could find these deep cuts. And then it was that concept or that culture where you would meet up with a friend and you'd say, hey, I know we've all heard this song, but here you got to listen to the whole album. And you'd loan them the CD or you'd go with them and they'd buy the CD kind of thing so that you could listen to, or you'd sit down together and you'd listen to the CD or the tape or the record in your house. You'd sit down and you'd all listen to it together and have a shared experience. And with the streaming, and it is great to listen to it and give them the follows and the love on streaming, and that's a great way for them to get their music out to everybody. But again, take a chance, go check out the whole album, and every single one that we're listening here today to is somebody that we strongly believe is worthwhile, and check it out. Give them a like on Facebook, anything like that, because that's how they're going to come to your town. That's how they're going to be recognized by local promoters and things like that. And hopefully we can get them at music festivals. And I know that of what we're going to be listening to, there's at least 2 names on here that I know have even played Treefort. So it's worthwhile to support them. Get out there and support it.
Absolutely. And yeah, like Greg said, the ease of access, it's, you can get this music and it's, you can just go listen wherever, but just supporting your local artist will go a long way. We're not asking you to, buy an 8-track so Greg can listen to it in his GTO, but we're just saying that give a little love when you can.
I have a wall of 8-tracks as opposed to your wall of beer cups, so we're all right.
Yep.
And speaking of artists that have played, because I think this is probably a best segue, artists that have played Treefort and that are being affected by this is the Grizzled Mighty. They played Treefort back in 2014. I want to say
my first Treefort.
Your first Treefort. They played Treefort then, and I think they played 15 as well, if memory serves.
Yep, and you know what? I think they were actually the first band I saw at Treefort. And if I remember correctly, it was like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and they were playing the outdoor parking lot main stage. Thank you. And there were like 4 people there, including us. When they took the stage, and then you were sitting there like jumping up and down and waving as you do with your friends, and they were just like, "Oh, hi, Greg." But then once they started ripping into the music, then you kind of started seeing the people just kind of like, like a vacuum sucker thing. I'm good with the words, by the way.
I wasn't going to interject. I was going to let you just kind of figure out that.
Yeah. I mean, I was like, you could go with Moth to Flame. That would be, something that somebody could do. No, I decided to go with vacuum sucker. But yeah, all the people got pulled into their orbit and were just taken in by their awesome, shredding, loud, energetic, bombastic music.
And that was back in the day. I mean, they released self-titled, I think, back in 2012, which had Wallflower on it, Miles of Cocaine. These are these gritty rock sounds that just were and they continue to be kind of against the grain of what you expect. I mean, Ryan Granger, he's been the consistent throughout the Grizzled Mighty, and there have been a few other players that have come into play. And I think with the latest album that's coming up here, they are now a 3-piece, and there's a bassist, and it just adds to their wall of sound. After the self-titled in 2013, they released the Thick Hand Grip. I think it was an EP on that, and had Mona Lisa on it, Midnight Sun, some amazing tracks that were just continued to build this wall of gritty, distorted fuzz wall of rock style that became the Grizzled Mighty. And Ryan Granger with his long hair, his hat, and his boots and his guitar. I mean, he's got the image of a rocker for sure. Actually, when we were talking about him coming back to Treefort, because he was to play this March as well, and hopefully I see him in September again, or we see him in September at Treefort, I was asking him if he'd be at all interested in the brunch that we curate every year at Bitter Creek Ale House here in town. And he said that they don't do strip down, that they, quote, give me decibels or give me death. And I think that there is no other phrase that more accurately speaks to the
so he
Grizzled
walks
Mighty.
the walk, yeah.
Oh, he does.
But yeah, I noticed that because when I saw them, they were a two-piece. I've always called them my second favorite two-piece rock outfit. You don't need to know who the first one is, but seeing the trio, in action now and listening to Rewind, I mean, it's the bones of the Grizzled Mighty are still there, but you can tell that there's definitely a different feel to the music. It's got a little bit more, it's more rounded out, if you will.
It is, and I think that that's attributed largely to the three-piece, and I think that it's just this experience. I mean, it's hitting the road, and I know that they tour extensively quite often, and you learn lessons along the way, and you tighten up the sound. And I think that road weariness almost gives you a little bit more of an edge, and I think that we're seeing that a lot, especially with this latest track, Rewind, that the Grizzled Mighty has just released the single for. It's off their upcoming album, Confetti Teeth, which will be out April 24th on Freakout Records. It's got a whole lot of teeth. And if you haven't heard the Grizzled Mighty, or if you've been sleeping on them over the last couple years, having been a fan of them before, now's the perfect time to check them out again. And Rewind is aptly titled to do so. Or if you've never heard of them, this is a great way to launch into it. And I strongly encourage everybody to give Rewind, as well as the upcoming Confetti Teeth, a solid listen. But also go back and check out their other stuff. I think with the producers, engineers, Ben Jenkins at Kill Room Studios on this, and the mastering of Martin Fevier. I may be mispronouncing that, but I think that collectively they let the Grizzled Mighty really be themselves, and it's a sound that transitions really well from the stage to song, to track, and to album. Because I don't know how you can contain a sound like this on album, but it's big, and it's gritty, and it's pure distorted fuzz awesomeness. That's my quote on it right there.
Yeah, I know it's easy to fall into the trap of comparing this to other artists or songs, but I'm going to do it anyway. In listening to this, I kind of felt like it was almost like the first time that I listened to Jesus Built My Hot Rod, and when Gibby Haynes came in, because he's kind of got that same like distorted twang to his voice going on in the song, and it's still just got that same type of like just super kinetic energy that's going on, and you're just like, I think this was one of the reasons that we picked this as the first track of the mixtape, is just because you just come out of the gate, just bang, here it is.
And I think the style, the personality of that comparison in the artists themselves is a little different.
Yeah.
But the song, just a little, but the song, definitely, I can see that for sure. And it is, to explain Rewind, it's give me decibels or give me death. I don't know any other way to play it. And I think that it needs to be played loud and on the biggest speakers you can find, and likely on repeat.
Yep. That I would agree. It's definitely, I had to kind of, since my ears are getting a little bit older, I, had my headphones in pretty tight and needed to keep the volume to a point where I wasn't going to blow myself out. But it's kind of hard not to, because it just, when you're just ready to do something, it, like, think of it this way, like if you want to clean the house, or if you want to just dive into a project where you just need a ton of energy to, get started, like you're just going to start writing something, you're going to start painting something, you're going to start just doing whatever, painting your house, whatever it is, like this will kick it off. There you go.
There you go. Rewind. Grizzled Mighty, Confetti Teeth, out April 24th. Freak Out Records. Give me decibels or give me death. And it is a distorted fuzz wall rock of sound that I can't get enough of. Absolutely love it. And I think we should shift gears a little bit here. This is going to be a little bit of a come down. But all too important to touch on as well here is the next track that we want to chat about, which is the album by the same name by Andy Frasco and the UN. It'll be coming out April 24th as well on Side 1 Dummy Records. It is Keep On, Keepin' On. The single was released a little bit earlier here in March, and the album comes out in April. It is not the fuzzy, distorted wall rock of sound that we just heard, but I think it carries the same energy and punch to it that we were just talking about.
Yeah, I know you said it was a bit of a come down, but I kind of feel like, well, of course, what isn't going to be after that, but you don't want to basically fall off a cliff. You want at least a little bit of a step down, and this one was a good transition, I'll say. I mean, it's a very different feel. I mean, this is much more soulful and with a different type of positive energy about it. Like, to be completely honest, we were going to go with a different track by Andy Frasco at first, but just I felt like the message of Keep On, Keepin' On was just too much to let go of. I mean, this guy is, Andy is really just trying to capture a lot of not just what's going on in the world today, but also around just like personal mental health and how do you take care of yourself. And, this is a guy who, went through the crap storm and got out on the other end and is just trying to, fill some music with some great positivity. And I just felt like with the vibes of this track really just was kind of a nice, like somebody just like opening the case and a ton of sunlight just coming out. I don't know what else to say. Greg, help me out here.
Not like in a dark Pulp Fiction type briefcase, sun shining out kind of way. But I mean, okay, so maybe the come down may not have been the most apt explanation of it, but I think what it boils down to is it's a shift in energy. It's a different style. And I think especially right now, as we were talking about with the music festivals and with the artists that are having to cancel everything, and like we're seeing really around the globe right now, is this kind of this uncertainty and not gonna lie, it's stressful. It's stressful for a lot of people. I think that what Andy Frasco and the UN are really focusing on is, well, to put it in their words, a therapeutic helping of rock and roll with powerful pop and Americana roots influence, is how Andy put it. I think that's really on point there.
I know a man, he could give me therapy. What's the use of therapy? You don't want to change, babe.
He states that it's, quote, it's time to speak up about not just good things in our life, but the bad as well. This is who I am, end quote. And that's what he's really trying to do with this, with Keep On, Keepin' On. And it's a motivating, you're not alone type message that he's putting out there, but he's putting it in such a way that it's an anthem and it's kind of a rally that we can get behind. And, how hard you may feel that you're going to be, or how much you're trying to hide your stress, I think that we can all get behind this. And I think that if this is any glimpse into what we're going to get out of this whole record, I think that we're onto something absolutely fantastic from Andy Frasco.
Yeah, I agree. Because it's one thing to just say, hey, I'm putting out an album that's all about, good vibes and getting better and all of this. But I mean, this is just got some bounce and pop that you can dance to, or, just put in your headphones. And, I think about like what is the soundtrack for your life? And if you're walking down the street in the future when you're heading back to work and not working from the office, but there are plenty of people that are still having to go to work. So if you're on the way to work, and need something to kind of get you lifted up to walk into it with the right mood. I mean, this is the track for you. And based on what I heard from this track, keep on keeping on, and from the original one that we were thinking about doing, Feel It in Our Bones, they're both just really good, positive, vibrant energy.
I gotta find myself and let love in.
And it's that, what's going to motivate me once life gets back to normal, what's motivating me to make that commute on Monday morning into the office kind of thing, is the sun's starting to get better. Because chances are, we come out of this whole COVID-19 thing, we're going to hit it right about summertime, and what's going to keep us going, and it's going to be even harder to go into the office. But I think songs like this, we need to keep on keeping on. And I think that he's hitting the nail on the head. And it's kind of that immediate energy and boost that you get out of the old, what was it, Blessed Union of Soul back in the day, or Edward Sharpe and the Magnetic Zeros. It's just this like big power that you have, but the message here and just the way that he executes this and the way that the band executes this, I think they're spot on. And I don't think it's going to become tiresome at all to listen to this or what I anticipate the album to be. I think we're onto something good.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely therapy in the form of music, and
someone's going to be like driving into work, watching the sunrise with this song on, and their whole week's going to change, their whole month, and it's gonna empower them, and it's gonna change their mindset. I see that happening, absolutely.
Yeah, it's gonna make you feel cooler and better just putting it on.
All right, as he said, it's therapeutic helping of rock and roll, the powerful pop and Americana roots influence. Their words, not mine, but I think that aptly sums it up as well. So that was Andy Frasco, Keep On Keepin' On. Album's out April 24th, Side 1 Dummy Records. Go check it out. Show some love to Andy Frasco, because I know that Andy had to also make some changes in an upcoming tour.
So how about a little funk and swagger now?
Funk and swagger, or indie synth jazz undertones to something entirely unexpected is what I would call this.
Yeah? What was so okay, so before I kick this off, we're talking about the next track, which is Are You In It, and letter U, In It, by Mark Fredson. And this is off his upcoming album, Go Into the Movies, which will be out on May 15th. So what has you saying that, Greg?
So when I first dove into the song, I had no idea what to expect. Let's be honest. This is one of those moments where, and we see it all the time, especially here, we get this track that's submitted, or we stumble across this somehow, and someone says, hey, check this out. It's a brand new track from someone we've never heard of before. We hit play on it, and you just kind of close your eyes with your headphones on, and just you're taken away from anywhere you expected to go. And I think Are You In It did that. I was not expecting this synth sax jazzy undertone to build in the way that we did with Mark Fredson with Are You In It.
What was it? Was it his?
Well, vocally,
what was it? Was it his?
Vocally, it's just this feels like one of those tracks that you look at and maybe superficially, and you say, this should not work, or it should not be as catchy and fun as it actually is. It shouldn't come across the way that it is. But I'll be damned if I didn't listen to this on repeat several times, and each time got more and more into it. I mean, it was fun. It brought you in a way that was unexpected, and was it grew, and it adds a different style, and it's definitely off the beaten path, but not so far off. We're getting weird here, but it's off enough that it's refreshingly off the beaten path.
I've got so many nights behind me. Like to live the rest with you beside.
It was the horns, wasn't it?
It was the horns. The horns really, I'm looking at this going, really? This is where we're going? And yep, and we went. And then I packed my bags. I got the shirt. I got everything. I'm all in on Mark Fredson's Are You In It? So yeah, to answer Mark's question, yes, I am.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'll be honest. It's you get enough of these, and you're just like, all right, here we go again. Here's a guy in a white T-shirt with a mustache. What am I going to be getting? Some guy with his, Casio on demo with a couple of kind of semi thought out poetry, but this was different, and yeah, pulling in the horns, you're like, okay, you're gonna do some yacht rot, all right, I'll climb aboard, all aboard, Captain. And I kind of gave it a few spins, and there's a great groove to it, and yeah, the subject matter is really just kind of, you could tell the guy's a little bit of a performance artist, and has kind of some themes that he's going with, but it was just a chill story about a guy who's falling in love, and it delivered everything really smoothly, and like on a hot buttered roll.
Like a hot buttered roll. There you go. That's the way to put it. But this, to your point that you had mentioned earlier, this is one of those scenarios where this is the taking the chance. This is coming into a venue and just rolling the dice with an artist, and then all of a sudden you find something. I mean, Mark Fredson has like less than 300 likes on Facebook, on social media there, and you look at the album, and I get it, it's the debut album, so less than 300 isn't shocking. But it's one of those that you stumble into the venue and all of a sudden you find the sound that you like, and it just clicks, and the message is there. It's something that just, it builds on the music. It's well executed in its own vision, and it's something that you almost look at it going, why aren't more people supporting this right now? And that's why we're here, I guess.
Yep. Well, and some of that may be that it's just his album isn't coming out for another 2 months, so, go listen to what you can on Spotify right now and be ready for his album Going to the Movies, out on May 15th.
That was Mark Fredson, Are You In It? That's one that, go show him some love if you like it. Again, back to the reference of the record store. If you like the song, be willing to check out the album. Give it a spin. Go buy it. Support them. Do what you can. And I keep saying we're shifting, but now we're going to go with a Liverpool band that really stuck out to us on what was sent over our way. And I guess I should let you kind of dive into this one, but it's the latest release it's Sad Happy, from their newest album, Sad Happy, same name. It's already out now. Liverpool band Circa Waves.
Yeah, I gotta say, I feel like this is one of those bands where I'm like, I know I've heard of them, and then I probably, have come across some of their stuff, but when, this came across my desk, and listening to the title track, Sad Happy, it was just, I kind of got struck by the type of almost 80s style pop that they threw at me. Like, I mean, if you listen to kind of the riff in the background, I'm kind of getting a little bit of, the David Bowie China Girl going on, and it's just constantly kind of there in the background, just a progression that's there. But the whole theme of the song, they've got this double album about side A is about happy and side B is about sad, and there's the mood that goes for both of these, and this is kind of the bridge track that gets you there.
I was waiting so sad happy, thought I lost you in a nightmare dream.
And just seems to be generally about somebody who's kind of feeling the dichotomy of both ends. Like, we've got so much going on in our lives that's like bumming us out, I mean, you talk about the COVID-19 that's going on, and people are, trying to just struggle to get by as it is with that. And, we've got other things politically going on in the world, and, you've got global warming that's kind of a tough subject to think about for our future. And then you flip around and you're like, hey, check out this cat. He's got a watermelon helmet. Isn't this great? And you just flip between like these two moods of the world sucks and I'm really bummed out, and then look at this funny thing and this is making me laugh, and you just bounce back and forth between these two moods almost instantaneously. It's not even there's no progression. You're just flip flopping all the time.
So we constantly live in this world, then you're saying, of Brexit, impeachment, and cat videos that just fused into our psyche, and so it's that pull that's happening on both sides. But no, I mean it is that we have to look for the silver lining in this otherwise dimly lit experience that we're going through right now for so many people, and even if you support or oppose to either side of whatever's happening right now, it can't be optimistic in so many ways. But we know, it's going back to Andy Frasco. We're going to keep on keeping on. But I think with Circa Waves, what it does is we get that sad happy, and they captured it in a way that I guess is what indie rock is now in the post-Travis debut era. And when I'm listening to Sad Happy, you almost instantly catch on that this is a Liverpool band. There's a lot of those influences, and if you live in Liverpool, you can't avoid it. I mean, it's an epicenter of so much great music. But just the English stylings of Circa Waves, as well, is it pays homage, like you said, to some of those older styles, but it feels refreshingly moving forward in the same sense. And I think that they balance that really well, and that's why you can't be sad about it, but you can't be overly thrilled about it either. It's this middle ground that strikes up a warmth and a sense of understanding with Sad Happy. That's what I got out of this one.
Yeah, me too. And the good thing is that this Sad Happy is out now. You can go get it off of...
It's off Sad Happy.
It's off Sad... No, I know it's... Okay. But they will be playing Circa Fest in Liverpool, which is a pretty cool thing, on April 4th, so we'll see if that's going on. Again, trying times.
So if you're sad or if you're happy with Sad Happy from Circa Waves, hope you felt something and that you're willing to go check them out. Definitely worth clicking play on, explore a little bit. But if you find yourself going, wow, 2-3 tracks really speak to me, go buy their album, support the artists. We can't stress that enough. All of the artists here have been, they stand out, and there's so many out there. Just take that chance, take that random venue, go check out a local artist, go check out an indie artist, hit play, check out those discovery playlists on whatever streaming service that you like to click on. And speaking of those who haven't been heard, or that most people may not know of, shifting into Only August from Toronto, Canada, Andrew Reinhardt, aka Only August, just released his debut single. Premiered on Indie 88 Toronto. It's titled The Rain. It is an indie folk sound that as soon as it starts, freezes you. For me, it just absolutely caught me off guard. We get so many submissions of, hey, I'm an artist out here, wherever they may be in the world. Please give my track a listen. And we try to listen to so many of them. We try to share as much as we can of them. Please, by all means, keep sending them to us. Or if you're a fan and you think that you've got this band that you'd love more people to hear, please send them to us. We'd love to hear it. This one, we listened to it, and all of a sudden, I just froze. The Rain by Only August is an indie folk gem that, from a debut single, is absolutely hard to pass up. I absolutely fell in love with this track, and I will continue to support what Only August is working on.
Yeah, it was going back to, it's indie, but I go to it's still a pop song because you listen to it and there's the same kind of themes on repeat throughout it. And when he's repeating, they say the grass is always greener, but I can't be sure, it's kind of like each piece of it is on a loop, and there's a lot of repetition in a good way, that he's really just driving the points home about, just trying to, care for this relationship that he's in, and, dealing with the rain, and, dealing with some of these, some of the other themes that are out there.
I'll bring the sunshine if there's
No, absolutely, and he cites influences as Kings of Leon, City and Color, and I think the City and Color tends to be pretty apt. Sam Fender, Nothing But Thieves. These are all influences of Only August, and yes, we're a collective of our influence, but I think that there's a sound here that it's walking the same path as those have set before him, but I think that he is definitely in his own style and in his own mind with this, and I think that if he keeps with that, we'll see something absolutely great out of Only August, and I hope only the best for, and I keep using the word only, because let's use only a couple more times. I wish only the best for this, but this song is really what I feel the beginning of something that could be something great. I do.
Yeah, and I thought it was pretty cool that he basically just wrote this song collaborating with his wife, and just kind of the honesty and vulnerability that comes out of trying to discuss relationships with your partner and then saying, hey, I'm going to turn this into a song that I'm going to publish and put out into the world. That was just a really cool thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's working on his debut album. He's really trying to get that up and going. And there is, as you put, a lot of honesty. There's a nurturing sense that needs to come from this, and that's relationships or whatever it may be. I think that he's seeing that, and he's conveying it in his way, that nurturing sense that needs to happen, and whether it be relationships or yourself. And I think that he's really trying to, or I think that he is communicating that well. I think that he's really getting his message across, but he's getting it across in a very intimate way that is also very consumable. It's easy on the palate to jump into this and support this as well. It strikes a personal chord on many levels.
Yeah, if only so much deep thought into relationships and open honesty were quite so accessible.
Only August, The Rain, working on the debut album, but that was the debut single. It premiered on Indie 88 Toronto. And with all of the music that we've listened to today and that we've shared and all the artists that we've talked about, we hope that you found something that you like or something that inspires you. And please, again, share with us any music that you think that more people need to hear, because we're just fans trying to spread great music to other fans. That's really all we are. I don't like to think of us at all as music critics per se. But just fans wanting to spread great music out to the world. And for the festivals and the artists, the vendors, everybody involved, we're here supporting them, and we hope you are as well. And show some love for them. Don't just stick your head in the sand. I mean, it's easy to be selfishly disappointed in it all, but at the same time, these artists, this is how we get that music that moves us, that speaks to us. When we think of when we were younger and all that music that really meant something to us, those were artists who put their vision down and it came to us. And there's other artists that are trying to do that. And this is going to strike a chord with somebody. Or the festivals are going to inspire somebody. So show some love, show some support in a time that's really crappy right now, but it's going to get better.
That's right. In the words of our friend Andy Frasco, just keep on keeping on, because we'll get there. And yeah, like we just want to be able to share this with people, so we're gonna keep doing this, and hope you like what we're putting out there, and would love to hear what you would love to share with the world as well. Let's give as many good bands we can a signal boost.
Absolutely, and we'll have links to all of the artists and their songs in the notes, and we will be sharing these on Spotify and every other source that we can, as well as nanobotrock.com. And we hope to be back chatting with all of you very soon. And keep sending us that music, keep showing your love for the musicians, and telling your friends about great music. Tell your friends about great independent, great local music, or just music that moves you. Just get out there and support the hell out of it.
That's right. All right, you ready to call this a day?
Ready to call it a day.
All right, thank you, friend.
Thank you.